to the On the Slab Horror Show, the show that we bring to you each and every Friday night. Why we do it on a Friday night? Because Friday night is horror night. The slogan's so good, we got it on a t-shirt. But tonight we are joined by an upcoming star in the indie horror world, Miss Lydia Mason. How are you, sir? Miss,
I am I am okay. I wouldn't say rising star, just a regular gal.
I'm going with Rising Star. Sounds better. Gotta have
I
belief.
I appreciate it.
And as for the sir in there, me and Lydia were talking off screen, and I said that I call people random things at times, so I just threw that in there.
I've been called worse.
But thanks for taking the time out of your afternoon, obviously stateside for yourself, and
Oh,
coming
well,
on.
thank you for having me. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're always looking for people to come on, and normally I watch an awful lot of indie movies,
Hmm.
like an awful lot. So I tend to reach out to a lot of people, and whoever wants to take the time to come on, we'll definitely facilitate them.
We always love ways to promote our films. So,
Absolutely, and it has to be done. Really,
hmm
unfortunately, for like indie is great at the minute, and it's blown up because of the likes of Terrifier and stuff.
yes.
But it's not as well promoted. Maybe in the States it might be, but over here we don't get very little indie,
Oh,
like very little.
yeah. It's so hard to promote. Like you reach out to like magazines and stuff and you don't hear back, but then you see like people you're friends with there in the magazine and it's like, what can I do to do this? Like how do I promote like my films? So
Money, money
I wish.
talks. Um, but yeah, so like as I said, the indie scene is absolutely blown up. So I'd say it's a great time to be a part of it.
Yes.
Um,
Terrifier was it opened a lot of doors for a lot of people. I feel like um it showed Hollywood that, we're a force to be reckoned with. Like we can make good films without, these crazy budgets. Like I believe the first Terrifier was 50,000, made on 50,000.
Give or
I'm
take.
not 100% sure on that. So anybody who is don't
Well,
don't hate me. And then Terrifier 2, obviously it was a little bit, I think that was like two
yeah.
quarter of a million, which I mean, I'm I'm still in the makings of the very low budgets. But I mean, it went on to make, millions. So it shows us that it can happen.
17 million.
Yeah, it can show us that it can happen. So,
And it was phenomenal. Just there on Terrifier 1, I just had a quick Google of it. 35 grand the first one was made of.
oh, okay.
So even less than 50K,
Yeah.
which is madness.
Hmm.
And obviously, we were talking off screen, but we've had former guests on the show, Mike Levy, who's part of Fuzz and the Lane's big part of
Yeah.
Terrifier. And I've had Phil Falcone, who's the executive producer and helps Damien out with the SFX. And he
Hmm.
was in Terrifier 3 with the best cameo.
Yeah, I heard he had a cameo. I haven't seen the third one yet.
It's so good. It's so good. The cameo was brilliant.
Good.
Yeah,
I'll be excited to look for it.
yeah. But obviously the Terrifier, as we said, has been a huge success for indie. So
Hmm.
I think you're going to see a lot more production companies taking chances on indie movies
I
in the
hope
hope that they
so.
blow up. Um, like I've seen the likes of Bayview and stuff have now started taking on a lot more indie movies,
Hmm.
which is great to see. Obviously, it's a big enough production company name. So when I seen them taking on films from former guests, who's I can't really remember off the top of my head now, but I know it's been mentioned a few times. So it's great to see them production companies taking on indie roles.
Yeah, it's always great. I know I'm currently we're in pre-production for a film and we I mean it's a big budget for me. So I'm trying and I'm assistant director on it. So I'm trying to think of all these ways to get the funding because I was like, we're never gonna raise this from, Indiegogo or anything. So I'm like, okay, we can reach out to these production companies. Hopefully, we can reach out to maybe distributors and get, distribution on the front end and get funds. And it's so much to learn, and it's been a wild ride. So I hope that you know the people we do reach out to see that there has been success and they could hopefully bring more success for another film.
Like absolutely, because like when you look at Terrifier, it shouldn't have done what it done.
Hmm.
Really, like I really enjoyed the first one. I know the original short, the 15-minute one, and
Yes.
then there was the 40-minute short of All Hallows Eve,
Yes.
which then led to the feature that Damien done, which then led to Terrifier and Terrifier 2 and 3. Like, by all means, I'm still working out as to how that became such a success.
I think it was, honestly, it was that upside down kill in Terrifier with the
You
hacksaw, because that was, it wasn't something that had been done on that low of a budget.
Yeah,
Um, and I feel like people now, compared to like years before, they're looking for that gore. They're looking for that blood. They're looking for like the crazy kills now, you
yeah.
know?
And Indie's the best place to get it, really.
Yes. So
Uh,
now it's just like, now it's competition and it's all like, oh, well, I'm going to beat Terrifier and I'm going to do better than Terrifier. And I'm just like, I don't, I don't want to compare any film I'm in to Terrifier. I want any
yeah,
film I'm in to stand on its own, you know, because it's, we say it all the time. It's like we don't need to be in competition with each other as far as indie filmmakers. Like if we were able to work together, I feel like we would get so much more accomplished and be able to do so much more instead of looking at it like, oh, well, I'm gonna beat that.
yeah.
No, be excited for them because they're showing you that it's
It's possible.
capable, you know?
Absolutely, and I think that becomes a problem even in the likes of Hollywood with the big budget movies when you
Oh
run
yeah.
them against something else. Like whatever about running them against something else, but you're eventually probably going to work with said people that are in that one, and you're there going, "Oh well, how are they doing so well?" Do you know what I mean? Like, what's to
Hmm.
say that movie your assistant director on doesn't cast, say, Lauren Rivera? All of a sudden, you're going to be compared to Terrifier anyway. But
Hmm.
she brings a fan base now with her
Yes.
because of that. Same as David Howard Thornton. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Hmm.
In 2022, when we did this show, Terrifier, the talk of it came up quite a lot. And I says he's probably the hottest thing in horror for 2022. Um, and like the fan base that came with him. And now he's done two movies with former guests on the show. And then for 23, I said that we were talking off screen that Cheney Morrow was probably my pick for the hottest prospect in horror in indie horror for 23 because of some
Hmm.
of the movies that he'd done. Do you know what I mean? And they all bring fan bases with them when they move
Yes.
from film to film, which is great. But unfortunately, well, it's not unfortunately, it's a good thing, but in an unfortunate way that when you cast someone from them, they're going to be like, "Oh, your movie's automatically going to be compared to," which
Yes.
is kind of unfortunate.
Hmm.
But it's as I said, it's unfortunate in a good way, and
There's ups and
especially
downs.
with
It's
this
like the double. It's like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. It's like you want to separate yourself, but you want to make it better, and you bring those better actors in who have, like you said, that fan base that comes with them. So
yeah. But it's
sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do.
like it's like casting the Rock in anything. You know what the role's going to be. It's never going
Yes,
to change. But
exactly.
he brings you easily a 50 mil box office,
Hmm.
even if the movie's crap.
Yep.
So like it is great, and I understand the need to do it. But as you said, you're definitely better off supporting other indie filmmakers
Hmm.
in the process of doing it when you've got your own coming,
Yep.
because you'd hope it'd be responded. Not always, but it should.
Yeah. Should.
So before we get into the movies, then how did you get started in acting?
Honestly, I just kind of fell into it. It was never a plan. It was never a dream or anything like that. A friend of mine at the time was attached to an indie horror film, and I was following it to just support her. Um, and they had posted that they were looking to fill in a couple female roles, nothing big or anything. And she told me, she was like, oh, just, throw your name in. And I did, and I got it. And I just kind of worked my way up from there. And
Nice.
that was 4 years ago. So,
So some of the movies that I'm going to get into now in a few minutes has all came in the space of 4 years. So
yes.
that's not bad going. Like, um, that's relatively new in terms of acting. So you're still honing your craft.
Oh yeah. I say all the time, I'm like, I know I need more classes. I always ask people if they watch my films, I'm like, okay, well, like, how did I do? And everybody's like, oh, it was great. And I'm like, no, I really need to know. I'm like, the only way I'm going to get better is if you tell me what wasn't working, like I need honest feedback. So I always ask people that because I'm like, I want to get better. And the only way to get better is to know what I've done wrong. So,
Mm. Do you know who the best person to ask is? Me. I'm not an actor. I couldn't act to save my life, but I can
mhm.
sure tell you when you've done something wrong. And I'm so like, if you've seen any of the back catalogs, I'm extremely blunt on this show. I just come straight out with
Well, now I'm scared.
it. I'm like, no, didn't like it, or yep, it was good, or this could have been done, or whatever.
hmm
Like, I have no issue. Like, if someone asks me my opinion, I'm going to tell them straight out. So, I mean, I don't beat around the bush with it. I'm just like, yeah, this is it. It's good or it's bad. Like,
Well, I guess I'm going to be on the edge of my seat now.
um, but we might as well jump into some of your movies.
Yeah.
There is only one that I've seen because obviously one is him and Han around, and former guest Molly Souza had brought it up when
Yep.
she was on the show. The house that eats the flesh um, is stuck somewhere.
Yeah. The production company that had bought it, um, to help we needed funds to help finish it. They bought it, and we were able to finish it. So it's up to them when they release it. Unfortunately, it's completely out of any of our hands, and we are just as frustrated as everybody else because, we filmed that movie 3 years ago, and we were. I remember one night we were filming until 6:30 in the morning, and they were like, "All right, we got to be ready to go at 9:30." Like we worked our butts off, and we just want to see the final product, and it it sucks that it's like just on a shelf somewhere, especially after all the hard work we put into it. So I hope soon we'll be able to see it,
Yeah, I
but I
know.
can't say.
I know we were talking off screen, and like it must be so frustrating to just see it there. Like, I'd say there's a hell of a lot of good movies that are just tucked up away on someone's shelf, and they're just being
hmm
an arsehole sitting there with it going, no.
Yeah.
Um, but that's one. Obviously, we can't get too much into that because no one's seen that. And but obviously, it has Molly in there, but it also has another top indie star and Angel Bradford in there as well.
hmm Yep.
Um, who you've worked on with a different film as well, and Go Straight to Hell.
Yes, that film I is mm, it's in purgatory. That film is not going to be finished. So,
Oh,
but
I just picked
it
it off.
happens. It happens,
I just picked it off the IMDb, and I seen Diane Prince was in there as well, and I was like, Jesus.
Oh yeah, she's I wasn't filming when she filmed her scenes. Like
Oh,
she filmed like the 2 days before I got there, but I
damn.
ended up meeting her at a convention like a year later, and she was so nice, and she actually follows me back on TikTok and Instagram. So,
Yes.
right, I anytime like I post something and I see that she likes it, I always like take a screenshot and I'm like, oh my god, I'm a fangirl. Like I'm just so happy.
Hashtag
It gets
complete.
me every time. I'm like, oh my god, she liked my post.
I have someone like that. Like Neil Marshall director. He directed two of my favorite horror films, In the Descent and Dog Soldiers. So
Okay.
when we had him on the show, I was sitting at home and I got a message from Instagram saying you have a message,
hmm
and it was like Neil Marshall. I was like, oh, someone's taking the piss here,
Like
and
who's messing with me?
I was like, Joe, you get the fake bots and stuff,
Yeah.
and it turned out to be the real one. I was like, oh shit. I was
I
like,
got one recently. It was
we're
Bill
named
Oberst Jr.
Bill was on the show actually.
He followed me back on Instagram, and I was like, "Oh my god."
Bill's awesome. He was on the show there probably 3 months ago.
Okay, I'm gonna
He's
be
so good.
working with him next year, so
He's so good. Wait and
I've
see.
heard so many good things about him.
He
Like
has a
everybody
he came on
says
the
good
show
things.
and he was wearing a suit and he had a Lou Cheney Jr. pin and I was like, you prick. I want it. From the Wolfman, the original Wolfman, I was like, oh, he's just such a nice guy.
I'm so excited to meet him.
Yeah, he's a very talented actor as well.
Hmm.
Can you say what you're working on with him, or is it still
Uh,
under
yeah, no,
wraps?
I am free to talk about it and happy to talk about it. So the film's name is Hell's Gate, and it is about a cult. And we have worked it that the cult is actually an extension of the Manson family.
Nice.
So it's
All
it's like
related,
where
right?
Helter Skelter ended, Hell's Gate has picked up. So the leader of our cult, Keith, he sends people out to do his bidding. But in this film, unfortunately, he doesn't realize that he has an undercover FBI agent that has worked their way into the cult. So it's going to be good. Really excited about it. I play a character in the film named Kelly, and then I was asked to be assistant director on the film. So really excited about that.
That's probably because you're related. Manson and
Yeah, no, I had an in.
Manson. I had the inside scoop,
Nepotism works every time.
and you'll take it every time.
That's what
Just
she said.
yes. Just for the record, she's not actually related to Charles Manson.
Yeah, no.
We're just going on that joke. That was something that we scheduled off screen. um, Before that actually ends up biting you in the arse or something.
Yes.
Um,
Um,
there is no relation.
there is none, but everybody is free to follow Hell's Gate the movie on Instagram and Facebook. We're still announcing cast members, so you know, join the groups now and you can see it from beginning to finish and follow the journey that we're going to be on for Hell's Gate. And I came up with the hashtag join the cult.
That works
So,
too. That works too. I'm just getting up there
yeah,
to see. How's get the movie? Oh, I am actually following it.
woohoo!
So it's not going to be
Yep,
up to be seeing too much.
awesome. Yep.
Yeah. A couple others that I know. The lads over there on Under the Floorboards, Eric and John, they're two sound lads as well.
Oh, okay.
See they're following as well. They'll, they'll certainly give you a hand with shouting everything out. So
Oh, thank you. We appreciate anything we can get.
absolutely. And then when it's closer to production, if you want, you can bring people on and we'll do a show about it.
Oh, thank you so much. That would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to that. I do like most films that are kind of cult based.
Hmm.
There's been a few I've seen that I haven't really got into, but 90% of them I'm like, yeah. I think it's fascinating how they can twist people's minds like that.
Hmm.
And then when it's done the way it's done, like,
Well, so for anybody that's familiar with like the Manson family cult, Charles, it was the way he spoke
yeah,
and was able to bring people in. And even I was reading an article like last week. Danny Trejo was actually in, I think it was county jail with him for a little bit, and he said he's like he is very intense. Like he it almost felt like he was hypnotizing me when he was speaking. So Charles had that. Um, Keith, the main person in Hell's Gate, he uses a lot of psychedelic drugs to push people into the mindset. So we're taking that. Not only he speaks to them, but we're pushing it to that next level of what these drugs can do to you that people are just making up. And it's like what you see on the streets. You see K2, you have no idea what's in that drug. You think it's just marijuana, or things are laced with fentanyl. So it I think it's pretty interesting, bringing it around that way.
Brings a whole new meaning to getting high as
Hmm.
fuck.
Yep.
No, I'd certainly check that out when it drops.
There's
Um,
going to be some crazy kills in there. Some, if you like blood and gore, it's going to be
you,
good.
you got me. No, horror's not for me and all. I don't watch anything like that.
I could never.
I'm strictly cartoons. Um, but yeah, no. So Hell's Gate then hopefully due out
Yes.
next year or filming it next year.
We plan on filming late July into August is the time frame we have right now. So one thing I learned so far in filmmaking is that editing takes the longest out of any part of filmmaking. And I never really thought about it because when you see these Hollywood films, you don't really know when they're starting filming. You see the trailer and they pretty much already finished production. But for indie films, you're following these people because we're just people. And so you see these products from start to finish. So you see, oh, we finished filming, and you're like, yes, the film's going to be out soon. But it's like it takes so long to edit, and you know, I hopefully, I would say editing wise, hopefully, and Aaron Hawkins, the director, please don't hate me for saying this, but I would hope by summer of 26 that it would be out.
Nice. That's not a bad time frame, really.
Hmm.
I mean, it's still another year and a half from now, but
Yeah,
it is what it is. It takes time, and
it does.
it's all well and good making a movie and rushing it out just to have it out, but what's the point if it's going to be trash? That kind of way.
Yeah. If you're going to do something right.
Like as you said, we mentioned Terrifier there. You go out, you take the time, you do what you have to do. Grave Encounters
Hmm.
was another big one. Blair Witch was another one. They didn't rush these movies.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? And then the market
Hmm.
for Blair Witch was beyond insane because of there was no internet really.
Right?
Uh,
It, it's
uh,
so funny, like looking back at that stuff.
like I say that now, and I was only 9 when that came out, but I still remember some of the ads for it, and then we watched it in 2004 in school
Hmm.
as part of a media package or something, and it was just awesome. I still love it. I've watched it probably easily 100 times,
Yeah.
even though like it's technically a one and done movie,
Hmm.
but it's just one of them. There's no point in rushing things out. Do you know what I mean? You get it right.
Yes.
So I commend people that make a movie and it's there and they take the time editing it and they don't just go, oh, fuck it, I'll put it out and see how much money we can make off it.
Yeah.
So, um,
I would rather be a part of a few very well done projects than have my name on 20 films that are just like, you know, thrown out. You know, I I don't care about being in a ton of things. I don't care about being a lead role. I just want to do something that is appreciated by people
yeah,
and see how much work has gone into it.
like we were only talking about this. Me and the lads were talking about it. We were talking about Michael Douglas for a long time. He didn't throw himself into a whole lot of movies, but
Hmm.
every movie that he did was quality.
Yes.
So, I mean, so there is for that. Like Al Pacino was the same for a while, and then decided to take every role that was available ever.
Well, I mean, you even look at Jennifer Aniston in Leprechaun. I'm sure that was never her intention.
Movie, it's a great
But
movie. Great movie. I won't have a bad word said about it. Although, yeah, Leo's another one in Critters 3.
or even Johnny Depp in Nightmare on Elm Street.
His acting in that movie is atrocious. The acting in that movie is atrocious. Bar Robert Englund and bar John Saxon it's horrendous. It's my favorite horror movie
Oh,
ever.
it's my favorite.
Uh, it's my favorite horror movie ever, and don't get me wrong, but the acting in it's atrocious.
I think it's like the quintessential 80s horror film to
Uh,
me. Like
I have a big Freddy on my arm.
I got my Freddy Pop Funko Pop on my shelf over there. But
Nice.
when I think of like 80s horror, the first thing that comes to my mind is Freddy walking down that street and his arms stretched out and hitting like the fences. That's the first thing I think of when I hear 80s horror.
Ironically, that you bring that up, I've mentioned on the show a numerous amount of times. I snuck down the stairs of my parents' house at 11 and watched that.
Right? It's the first movie I remember, like first horror movie I remember seeing, and it was because it was on at like 2 o'clock in the morning on some random station, you know?
11:45, I think it was, or something like that. That used to be on one of the channels we had. But that is my favorite scene in horror,
Mhm.
where he's in the alleyway, and I've said it loads of times. It's like that, but like you
Yep.
can see where his arms are bent because obviously it's different bits of metal and stuff coming out.
Hmm.
It's my favorite scene in horror. I love it.
So good.
Yeah. Um, but there is to it. Like as you said, you prefer to be part of quality movies now. I love the movie. It's quality. As I said, the acting.
Hmm.
Obviously, actors and actresses get better as time goes on.
Yes.
And I will say Heather Langenkamp gets better as she goes into the franchise further.
Hmm.
Johnny Depp can't act to save his life. Said no one ever. He's an absolute tremendous actor, but he wasn't good in that.
Yes.
Do you know
I
what I mean?
actually got to see him because he plays in Hollywood Vampire, the band. So I got to see him play last summer
Oh,
on
nice,
stage. That was pretty good for me.
nice. He showed up at a gig with somebody in England during the court case. There was
Wow.
some famous band that were playing. I can't remember who it was, and they turned the lights off during the concert or something, and then they turned it back on, and Johnny Depp was just there playing guitar with them.
I've heard that he will go to Disney World dressed as Captain Jack Sparrow
It's gas.
and just walk around,
Did,
and people
did,
don't
he,
realize it's him.
did he do it on the ride? And he got Disney to turn the ride off.
Oh.
Do you know where he is? And he just stand there frozen and then just start moving before they moved it.
So, I
Uh,
mean, I think it's great that, when actors do things like that, I think
yeah.
it's great.
And then I love seeing the videos of him when he goes to the hospitals to see the sick kids where he's dressed as
Oh,
Jack.
yes.
And you're like, yeah, you're just an all round good guy.
Hmm. I know Mark Hamill did that too a couple of years ago. Um, Unfortunately, a child was really sick, and he he truly believed that, Mark Hamill was Star Wars, and he showed up and he did
Luke.
it. Yep, he was fully dressed, and I'm sure that brought, as sad it is to say, is probably
Yeah,
one of
absolutely.
his last great memories. But
Yeah. Like that's awesome when you see people like that. And then like I was at a con there not this year, last year. Was it last year? Yeah, last year. And there was certain people there. I'm not going to name drop them who they were, right? But they were charging 120 quid an autograph,
oh,
and did not even look up from the signing table. Just signed it and moved on.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've gone to a few conventions, and I understand, like, they're regular people just like us. They have bad days. I get it, but something like,
I'm sorry, but
you
if you're
know,
charging someone 120 quid for you to sign a piece of paper,
exactly.
you stand up and you have a conversation with that person, or
Even if
you
it's just like
look
a
up.
hi, hello, how are you doing? Like, you don't have to sit there. I know Robert Englund like has like amazing conversations with people, and his line is always so long because he takes the time to do that.
It's a
But
touchy
some
subject.
but
He's
some people are just,
yeah.
it just comes down to like, we know you're there just for the money, and it takes the magic out of it.
Robert England is doing a show in the UK in March or April of next year, and I'm like, oh, would I just go over for the day?
You'd
Sheerly
have to
just,
you'd have to
just.
go at like 3 o'clock in the morning and get in line.
Oh no, he has this thing. You buy it's a diamond pass thing.
Oh, okay.
So like your photo, your autograph, and then you skip the queue with it.
Oh,
But
okay.
I imagine loads of people are going to buy that, so there will still be a queue, but you don't
Yes.
have to queue with the regular folk. No offense to anyone that doesn't buy a diamond pass, but like I got to well, sorry, I fanboyed out and chickened out. I was about 15 and I was on the way to England from Dublin Airport, and I arrived in England and I was coming back 2 days later, and I was sitting in Stansted Airport, and Robert Englund was there, and he walked by, and I couldn't. I froze.
Right?
I was like, uh, uh, and like that was it. I had the chance to meet him in the airport, and I froze.
I was in New York City and I was waiting in the lounge for the Amtrak train. And I look up and sitting across from me, now not directly across because there's, space, and it's Henry Winkler,
The
eh,
Fonz,
the Fonz. And I'm just like,
a
I was like, I was with my mom. I was like, because I was like 16, 17 years old. I'm like, Mom, Mom. I'm like, it's him. She's like, go say hi. I was like, no, no,
no, no,
can't do that.
no.
But I was like, oh my God, that was my chance. And so I will always think of that.
It's a good one. Like I still like, to me now, as the way I am, I just don't care who it is. I'll go and say, oh, I have no issue with talking to anybody.
Oh,
But
I do.
I was just like, I just went, what? And then it was like I had about 2 or 3 minutes where I could have went up and just didn't.
Hmm.
I was like, damn.
And you're always gonna think that. And if you ever do meet him, that's gonna be the story you tell,
Yeah. Um, I seen you in London airport and I
right?
freaked.
I
Yeah.
froze. I couldn't do it.
And now I'm gonna spend X amount of money to get that autograph and a picture with you.
The irony of it all.
But like, ironically, for me at that stage, I would have been say 15, so I still would have only known him as Freddie, really.
Hmm.
But knowing who he was without the makeup on, I was like, yeah, there it is. But like,
Yep.
I followed his career then quite extensively over the years, and I was watching the new season of Stranger Things with my missus.
Hmm.
And by the way, have you seen Stranger Things?
I haven't.
No. Well, he's in the new season, the last season,
Okay.
and we were sitting watching it, and he starts talking as they're walking down a corridor, and I was like, "No way, no fucking way!" She's like, "What?" And I was like, "Do you know who that is?" And she's like, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Do you know who's talking?" She's like, "No." And I was like, "That's Robert Englund." And she's like, "How do you know that?" I was like, "Because it's Freddy
I,
Krueger." I was like, "You just
I
know."
saw him when I was 15 at the
Yeah,
airport.
yeah. Yeah, she knows I love the movies and stuff. Like I've even got the Elm Street sign and stuff.
Hmm.
But like, I just knew by the voice. He has that distinctive voice. It's like Tony Todd.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sad times,
I
sad times.
know.
But it is what it is.
I was looking at my Funko Pop of Candyman the other day and I was just like, I'll never get you signed.
See, I don't like Candyman really. Well, it's not that I don't like it. I just find it quite boring.
I I think it is so interesting that he was able to get put into his contract that he would get extra money for every bee sting he got.
Well, if I
So
was
I
negotiating
just
a
I'm like
contract, I
that's
would.
odd, like to have the hindsight to do that,
Yeah,
you know?
I would 100% have thrown it in my contract. If you're putting bees on me, if I get stung, I'm getting paid for
Hmm.
it. Fuck that. These things hurt. Um, but like everyone always says Candyman. Obviously, Final Destination, the big one. I am a
Yes.
huge fan of Hatchet, but I loved him as Reverend Zombie in that.
Oh,
Yeah, so good. So
well,
good.
Final Destination. I met Devin Sawa a couple months ago at a convention. So that was exciting.
Nice, nice. What a man.
Yeah.
He
I
is
had
Stan after all.
yeah. I had I had a VHS copy of Idle Hands,
What
so
a
I had
movie.
him sign that.
What a movie.
I was I brought my SLC Punk DVD because I absolutely love that movie and I was like I told him I was like I was going to have you sign my DVD. I'm like, but then I acquired this VHS and I was like so I just had to bring this
Did he
because
sign
he
both of them?
had I'm sorry?
Did he sign both of them?
No, I only paid for one signature.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he was sound and signed both of them for you.
No, that would have been awesome, but no. So,
Like the handlers mightn't like that too much.
yeah.
That's a big no no.
Yeah.
No, I've only ever been to one con.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
technically two. I went to that one that I was saying where people were signing stuff and not looking up. But the
Mhm.
people that I did meet, I got to meet Quinn Lord there. My cousin wanted an autograph from Sam for Trick or Treat.
Oh,
So when I was over there, I got the autograph for her. But he was really nice. I had a conversation with him for a few minutes because there was no
yes.
one at the
Some of
time
them
there.
you can have like really great conversations with.
We got there early though, and there was literally nobody at his queue for ages. And I was like, "Yep." So he just kept talking to us. And then I got a photo. I have a picture with me and John Jarrett from Wolf Creek.
Oh, okay.
That was funny. And then
Um, the convention that I met Devin Sawa at, it's called Silver Scream. I don't know if you know the band Ice Nine Kills.
this,
Um,
I've heard of them. Spencer something
yes.
Charms.
Yeah. So all most of their songs are based off of horror films. So he actually created this con. So this was the third year, and Eli Roth was there. And I was like, I have to meet him. I have to meet him. So I'm standing in line with my Hostel 2 DVD because Hostel 2 has my absolute favorite kill of any movie in it. Um, and I get up to him and I tell him, I was like, oh, that's my absolute favorite kill. And he's like, yeah, it was the Sky,
On her
like
back.
The Elizabeth Bathory scene where she cuts her throat and she's like in the bathtub.
Yeah, with the when she's hung upside down.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, Heather really went for it. And then he came around the table to take a picture with me. And the way he was like walking, I was like, oh, he's going in for a hug. So I went in for a hug. He was not going in for a hug. And it was so awkward. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I just embarrassed myself so bad in front of Eli Roth because he was not going for a hug. And I like half hugged this man. And
What happens?
it will haunt
Watch it.
me.
Watch as he goes to cast you for a movie, or you go for a casting thing. You walk in, and be like, "Yeah, no, not today."
I
No.
I don't think I'll get to that level, but that would be really funny. What was
Imagine
even
walking in.
funnier,
You were the half hugger girl.
what was even funnier was I had posted the picture on Facebook and I said how I had embarrassed myself and somebody commented, one of my Facebook friends commented on it and he goes, "Oh my God." He's like, "I was right behind you in line." He's like, "And I went in for a handshake and he wasn't there. He was not reciprocating." And I was like, "So I wasn't alone."
So
But I was like, how I couldn't believe that literally somebody that was on my friends list was right behind me.
yeah,
It
it's
was
weird, isn't it?
mhm.
Like I had a funny conversation when I was getting the photo done with John Jarrett. He's like, "I'm going to choke you," and I was like, "I wouldn't." Uh, and then we met Lauren Lavera as well.
Oh yeah.
She was lovely. The
Oh,
guy,
I
the
haven't
guy,
gotten to meet her.
the guy before us picked her up. I was like, "Fucking, all right, pal." And she was all for it.
Oh, that's good.
I was like, "All right, that's how that's gonna go."
Mhm.
Um, but see what happens when I said we get sidetracked in this show.
It always happens. So you
So
said you had seen Macabre Mountain. What
I
are your
had,
thoughts?
I enjoyed it. I went in not really expected anything. I'd seen a few people that had seen it and put up reviews about it.
Mhm.
Obviously, I don't want to go too much into it because obviously there's still a lot of people that haven't seen it yet.
Mhm.
And it is available. You can get it on YouTube and stuff. Um, but I quite enjoyed it. I was hooked into it, and then there was parts of it that kind of lost. It lost me, and then I was back in. But overall, I quite enjoyed it. I rated it quite highly.
Oh, good. Thank
Yeah,
you.
there's some good kills in it too.
Yes. I wish more would have been on screen, but
I think I had the nice amount because I think when you have too many, it'll dilute the effectiveness. Like again, we go back to Terrifier. It had
yes.
that one big kill. Terrifier 2 had the bedroom scene.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Imagine
Mhm.
having 3 or 4 of those kills in the one film. You're gonna go, oh, okay, so it's this kind of movie.
Yeah. And that's what, like when me and Aaron Hawkins, the director of Hell's Gate, when we have like our meetings and we're talking about things, and he's like, "Oh, we should do this and that," and I'm like, "No, I don't think we should." I'm like, because if we do that throughout the whole film, I was like, the audience is going to be desensitized to these kills, and it's not going to mean anything. So I'm like, you have to, just toe the line.
I think you see that a bit. Obviously, Hostel had theirs. You mentioned Eli Roth. Hostel had too many of them for me.
Mm-hmm.
That everyone just kind of went, yeah, it's just torture porn now.
Yeah.
And then people obviously had the unfair comparison to Saw. I think
Mm-hmm.
Saw done it differently than
I put Saw in a different category.
yeah. Um, but yeah, you become desensitized to X amount of big kills. And I understand if you have a budgetary requirement to
Yes.
stay within something, that's fine. If you have a 60 million budget to kill four people, you're gonna go hell for leather on them all. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I think you don't need to see that much more for me.
I For Macabre Mountain, I will say, and spoiler alert, if you have not seen Macabre Mountain, do not listen to the next 2 minutes of what I say. Um, all right.
Go for it.
Um,
We've given them ample
obvious.
time.
I'm sorry.
We've given them ample time.
Yes. Do not listen to this if you have not seen Macabre Mountain. Obviously, you saw how my character ended,
Ended's a good word.
but you don't see it. You just see an axe swing, and I kind of go down. You don't see me on the floor. You don't see anything. So I was joking around. I'm like, I could come back if there's a sequel. I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
no, that's some bullshit right there. That's some bullshit.
I was like, I'm just saying. I could technically come back. I'm like, somebody could live through that, you know.
I mean, that's a Stu
Do
Macher
I
all
think it's going to
over.
happen? Absolutely not. Do I like to joke around about it? 100%.
Fuck, if I was in a horror movie and they said you don't see the kill on screen, you don't see me lying with my head taken off, I'm a joke the shit out of it. I'll see you in the next one.
Mm-hmm.
But like there, Scream has the biggest one of them, which is Stu Macher. It's been it's been years and years and
I
years.
know.
And yes, everyone knows he's in two, and everyone knows he'd signed on to do three, and then there was the issues.
Yes. I
Don't be surprised to see him come back in seven now that Kevin Williams is back.
I will be very disappointed, honestly, from just a story standpoint. Like, obviously, there's no way he would have survived that kill. But then I look at it as, where has he been this entire time?
On the run or
But
in jail.
no, if you think about it, all of this stuff just happened. You're telling me the police didn't show up and take his body? You know what I mean? Like, this stuff didn't happen. If he was still alive under that TV, he wasn't taken into custody. He wasn't in jail. You know, these are the things that run through my mind. So, and then you haven't mentioned him for how many years, and now all of a sudden he's going to pop back up.
No, but they do mention him. They mention him in five, and then they mention him, and they show it in six.
Yeah,
The picture.
I loved the collection. We'll just call it the collection of everything. And I know everybody was like looking for like little Easter eggs. But I would think if he was still alive, he would be in prison. Like, there would be some reference to, oh, he got
He's
this much
somewhere.
time, or he's going to be out soon, like something like that.
Hmm.
So I would be, I wouldn't like it, but that's just my personal
I'm
opinion. And
all
I'm
for it.
sure people will hate me now that I said that, but
No,
I don't think, absolutely love Matthew Lillard, absolutely love him. But from a story standpoint, I don't think it would be good.
I
But
our co-host Ted Scream is his franchise. He fucking loves it. Um, like I love it as well, but it's his thing.
it's his Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, pretty much. Like it's
Yep.
funny because there's four of us, and all four of us have a different one of the big four. Really,
Hmm.
like I'd be Nightmare on Elm Street. He has Scream. Ian has Halloween, and Carl's Texas Chainsaw. We
Oh,
don't really have a Friday, but that
you
can
need a
go.
Chucky.
We don't. No one needs a Chucky.
But Bride of Chucky was amazing. We got Tiffany.
Yeah, she can go in the bin as well. I just don't see the love that everyone has for Jennifer. I like Jennifer Tilly and I like the character, but this whole
Mm.
obsession over her is just something else. The same as Fazra Bach. I just don't get it.
Oh,
Do you know what I mean? I just don't get it. I don't know why or where it came from.
The big thing about Jennifer Tilly for me is I am just amazed that she was 40 years old when she filmed Bride of Chucky,
Okay,
and
that's
she
fair.
looked that amazing.
Oh,
And
okay.
I'm just like, oh my God, like
Hmm.
there's hope
Oh,
for us.
we're almost there.
We're almost there. Um,
Um,
but you can watch, I believe Macabre Mountain is on Tubi as well, if
we don't have that
anybody.
over here.
Oh,
Yeah,
darn.
we don't get that. It is on YouTube, and if anyone on this side of the water wants to see it and they can't find it, reach out to me and I'll send it to you.
Thank you for doing that.
Ashley Ray sent it to me because I couldn't find it anywhere, and she was trying to get me a copy, and she tried to post me a copy, and it got sent back to her.
Oh,
She posted me a signed copy, and then it got sent back to her.
oh, I wonder why.
I thought there was an issue with customs or something, some
Mm.
shit or something. I can't remember. But there's some big talent in Macabre Mountain as well.
Yes, there is. You got
You
Felissa
got
Rose, of course,
the icon
Dave Sheridan.
Dave Sheridan. God, I love Scary Movie. I hope he
Yes.
comes back for the new one.
I was wondering about that.
As the Wayans brothers, both the Wayans brothers are back, which is
Hmm.
it's gonna happen.
I wonder if Anna Faris will come back.
She can stay away for all I care. I
She's
like.
been gone, she's been gone from the series for so long.
She went after three. Yeah, three. Yeah, she can. For me, the character is not really too much of an issue. You can put anyone in. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I actually don't.
Well,
I don't even find her that funny.
speaking of Scary Movie, John Abrams from Scary Movie was in Terrifier 3.
Yes,
So, and
John.
I got to FaceTime with him like a month and a half ago.
Oh,
It, so as you've had Doug Perfido on your show, and Doug
Doug's
is good,
hero.
and he's good friends with John, and they were doing a signing at Doug's friend's Halloween shop, and I couldn't be there. And they had gone out to dinner later, and Doug texted me. He's like, "Oh, you ready for a phone call?" And I was like, "What?" And he FaceTimed me, and it's John, and I'm like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "I look
So
terrible." Um, I screenshotted it just so I could have that moment forever. And then like I looked at it and I was like, oh man, I should have moved like my little face box down to the corner so I'm not taking out half of John's face. But it was,
I
definitely
panicked.
memorable.
You panicked.
I did. I was like, oh my God, I was not ready for that. I was like, I looked absolutely terrible. It was like 8 o'clock at night. And I'm like in my bathroom doing this FaceTime. I'm like, and I had no idea what to say. So I'm like, he
What
probably
can you
thinks I'm
say?
just an idiot.
You're just like sub.
What's up, bro?
I liked your movies.
Right?
Yeah. And then you do the awkward Chandler moment or something. And be like, do you like weather? That's the right way to do it.
Could you be in any more movies?
Yes, you could be Tom Atkins.
Yeah.
You could be Tom Atkins.
He just had his, I think yesterday was his birthday.
Yeah, yeah. Or it was definitely in the last couple of days.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Last few days, I can't
What a
remember
man.
when.
What a man. He was at that con that I was talking that we were at last year. He was at the con this
Oh,
year. So sad I wasn't there. So sad.
oh,
Yeah, they had a Halloween 3 reunion.
oh,
Yeah, Tom Atkins, Tommy Lee Wallace, and Stacey Nelkin. I was like,
awesome.
fuck's sake, stupid fucking being broke is not fun.
Oh, those cons, they pull your pockets out and leave them that way.
Yeah, but see, we have to fly to get to it. We have to go
Mm.
from Dublin to Manchester,
Oh, okay.
and then we have to stay in a hotel and stuff. So that's where the killer is.
Yeah, it adds up quick.
I wouldn't mind now. There was one shout out to the crew over there at ToyCon Ireland, who had a horror con this year in Ireland, one of the first ones, and
Oh, that
they got a guest over. They got David Howard, or I was going to say David Howard Thornton. They got Craig David Dowse, who played Winnie the Pooh in Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey.
oh, that's cool.
So I went and picked him up from the airport and drove him down and drove him back.
Oh
Felt for,
wow.
felt real important. It was gas.
Those are the best jobs, aren't they?
Yeah, it was good. I had nothing to do with the con. I just reached out to them and
Mm-hmm.
we ended up connected, and that was it. Like, um,
Well, a lot of times you can, I don't know how it is over there, but a lot of the big conventions here, you can volunteer to work for the convention and you can get placed with one of the celebrities. So you're the person that's sitting at the table with them
yeah, I
and
heard that.
helping them all weekend. So,
That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
hmm
What happens? Who are you getting placed with? Don't know. Don't care.
doesn't matter. I'll be happy either way.
What happens? Do you know what would be a nightmare scenario for me if I was doing that and got placed with Jordan Peele? It'd be a nightmare scenario.
I don't know who I wouldn't want to be placed with.
I can fully tell you that it would be a nightmare scenario for me. I'd swap. I'd swap to sit with an ant in the corner.
Oh,
I cannot stand him as a director. I don't like him as a filmmaker. I like his
oh,
comedy stuff was funny,
oh, okay.
but
Didn't
the,
like the crossover into horror.
no, and this whole he's a horror icon, horror genius director. Sorry, not for me.
Hmm
Not for me. I even got told by one person that he was better than Craven and Carpenter, and I was like, how do you even type this?
Yeah, I mean, when you think of horror, Craven and Carpenter are like top. I don't think anybody will touch
I don't.
them.
I don't think there's anyone that's even. Well, no, I can't say there's no one even close. George A. Romero will be up there, but they're all different, really. Like Carpenter and
Yes.
Craven created probably two iconic slashers, along with a couple of other movies.
hmm
I mean, Romero created Zombies, which was majorly important, and then we'll see where we go from there. You know. But to tell me to put them that name up there with them people, I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Um, I'm kind of conscious of the time, so I'm going to maybe wrap it up now. I'll throw you a couple of quick fire questions, and we'll get
Yeah, absolutely.
because I know it's
Hit them.
midday for you. Give me your top five horror movies.
Um, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Show.
Um, The Exorcist 3. Um,
Believer? No, that's the newest one, isn't it? The Heretic? Is that what it's called?
Heretic. Uh, I think they had that as the subtitle of this original second one. But I like I think it was called The Exorcist 3 Legion or but I
Legion.
just
Legion. That's the one.
but that one that's such an amazing movie. I do like Bride of Chucky. It's up there. Um, Cabin in the Woods. I really like that one.
Show. Show.
Such a good one. And I feel like, they could have really expanded on that film by making films about all the characters they had on that whiteboard. Could have made a whole universe out of that film. Um,
I think there probably was the idea, and then they just kind of went, "No, we'll just end it here."
yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
I
do
would
like that we got to see everyone.
yes, it was a lot of good stuff. Um, and I really like Carrie, the original, with
Show.
Sissy Spacek.
Show.
Good one.
It's a good five. It's a good five. Wouldn't have the extras in there for me now, but not a huge possession fan.
I think the third one was just really interesting because it took a different route. Um, because the priest is the one that was possessed.
It was a good trick in it. All right.
Yes. And the whole other priest, like his face being caught on the ceiling and just ripping off his skull. Great kill.
I will say they did have some good kills for what it was all throughout the franchise.
Yes.
But for me, they're just there. I do love The Conjuring now. I'm part of the small minority that have picked The Conjuring over the original Exorcist.
Mm.
I take Conjuring 1 over Exorcist any day.
That was a good one. I haven't watched it in a really long time, so I might have to revisit that one.
I only redone the whole franchise there with the missus a while back because I'd never seen The Nun or anything, so we went with that.
Oh, okay.
What is your favorite type of subgenre of horror?
I would say psychological thriller. I
Okay.
like movies that make me think.
They're no fun to watch when you're trying to go to sleep.
I have my things, my comfort shows that I can go to sleep to because I can hear it and I've seen it so many times that I can just watch it in my mind. I have those films on deck.
Nice, nice. And then you haven't seen it obviously because at the time of recording the episodes only just came out. Our horror quiz came out, right? So I'm gonna restart asking the guests that we have a question that popped up in their horror quiz.
Oh gosh,
American Werewolf in London or Dog
good one.
Soldiers?
I'm sorry.
Or Dog Soldiers?
American Werewolf in London.
Right, this episode's over. We're done. We're done.
I'm sorry.
Have you seen Dog Soldiers?
I haven't.
You have? Oh, that's all right then. Then there's no vote then. If you haven't seen the other
I
one.
had to go with the one I knew.
No, that's
But
okay.
for what American Werewolf in London is, at the time it was just the special effects,
Oh,
was
absolutely. Rick
amazing.
Baker was phenomenal.
So I will have to check that out and maybe change my answer.
Well, that's your homework. I know you're going out to the cinema or whatever you're
Yes.
doing. Um, After that, watch Dog Soldiers. You won't be disappointed. It is the greatest werewolf movie ever made.
Oh,
There,
okay.
it's out there in the world, and it's not one that I'm afraid, and I will die on this hill. But Lydia, maybe we'll have you back on another time, obviously later on into the filming or when it gets closer to production of Hell's Gate,
Yes,
or
absolutely.
or anytime you want to, you can just come back on for a chat.
Oh, thank you.
And we will see where the conversation takes us. As of like tonight, we name dropped about 400 people,
Right? Just
and
but
I didn't name drop anyone bad.
no. If anybody's looking, we got Christmas coming up. I was in a film called Reunion from Hell 2, which is a Christmas slasher. So if anybody is
Ooh,
looking for a Christmas slasher to watch, I was in that. Um,
ironic. Hey, we were only talking about doing our Christmas movies this year.
well, you will like this little fact. Lisa Wilcox is in it,
Uh,
Danny Hassel is in it,
nice.
and Mark Patton is in it.
Oh, I love Mark. Mark's
And
awesome.
that is the one and only movie that all three of them have done together.
Yeah.
And I was in scenes with all three of them. So I am the only female actress to be in scenes with all three of them.
Nice.
That's like my little claim to fame that I gave myself.
If that actually comes up in the quiz next year and I don't get it,
I'm
I'm gonna
sure it would never come up on anything, but it's I put it in my trivia on IMDb because I was really proud of it. I was like, I'm the only one that can say that. I'm the only female that has acted in a scene with all three of them.
well, Ted, our other co-host who does the quiz, he likes to
Hmm.
do questions like that. So when he watches this episode, that's 100% gonna go down as a question.
Good to know. Good to
Um,
know.
but Lydia, we'll leave it here for the night. You obviously go out and enjoy the cinema with the kids and stuff
Well,
and the
thank you so
family.
much for having me.
It was an
It's
absolute
great
pleasure.
chatting with you,
Absolutely.
even though I'm
Um,
dead to you now about
yep.
American
Well,
Werewolf.
no, it's not. The vote becomes null and void because you haven't seen it,
Oh,
which is
okay.
fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
I'm
It is. I forgot when I was doing it. I used to ask people, have they seen both, and then I asked them which one they went with.
oh, okay.
It's been a while, but it got reinvigorated last night.
Gotcha.
So now we're going back to it. But it was an absolute pleasure having you on. As I said, you're welcome back anytime, and all the best with Hell's Gate and all the work that
Thank
goes
you so
with it.
much.
And we'll try and help out wherever we can.
Oh, I'd love that. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
But for now, folks, we'll leave it like we leave it every single Friday night. In the words of the great George A. Romero, ladies and gentlemen, stay scared.